look at the state of today right now. We thought we have computer science on
Oversight.
lockdown. Yeah, we
Oversight.
need we need
Correct.
oversight, and then oversight
The,
of
the
the
highest
oversight.
positions in government essentially will be global positions, and those positions will be part of an oversight committee that will have the highest levels of transparency.
It needs a
These will
circle,
be
is
the
what I'm saying.
scientists, these will be the philosophers, these will be the people that actually make huge advancements and leap forwards for mankind. They're essentially servants, they're gems, they're a public treasure to the planet, you know? And so
But
to
this
put
is
them in a
essentially the
position like
British
this,
Empire, what you're speaking of right now. And that was
yeah, but
designed.
they wouldn't be kings. They're not going to accept a crown.
But they are now. That's the same for all intents and purposes. They are. So corporate
I'm
things, they
not
are.
talking about the current intellectual elite that believe that they're intellectual and they have a hold on science and they have a right to keep things for mankind. I'm not talking about those individuals. I'm talking about the real, like the Teslas, the Diracs, the von Neumanns, the selfless ones that give of themselves and know, like, even for example, Hedy Lamarr, that created spread spectrum and frequency hopping. She gave away those patents because she knew the contribution that it would make to mankind and how it would change everything. I'm talking about making these individuals elect. I'm not talking about them asking for this position. Just
No,
like
I
you would elect
understand that,
somebody to be a Nobel Prize
but
laureate,
I understand that. But what you're talking about too requires still democracy, because who's going to decide that these are the people that are selfless? That's going to be a body unto its own to decide.
Yeah,
Well,
so
that is a
government will
selfless
become more
person.
like a science, like a
So
political science.
all
Because that's what it
mediocrity is.
involves. It involves global policymaking as it applies to individualistic freedom. So you have to make
Meritocracy is really.
policies that do the most good without affecting those at the lower levels. And of course, this goes into the debate that's, of course, going to be thrown around about Gene Roddenberry and the idea of the prime directive. Because there are going to be people here on the surface of the planet, indigenous peoples, that don't want to know about this stuff. They're not interested in joining intergalactic society when we have a mass planetary exodus. They don't want to leave. They want to stay. This is their tribal land. This is where they've been since their ancestors, and they're not planning on leaving anytime soon. Now, some of their kids will probably end up moving to cities and learning things and doing amazing things. They'll be the Philo Farnsworths of the future.
True. I mean, that is against the law to force people out of the thing, but there still is universal law that applies. No, they don't care if your ancestors murdered people all day long. You don't have the right to be murdering people. An example, that kind of idea. But I mean, so meritocracy, when it boils down to it, still is direct democracy. Still, because who are the judges that decide that on the merits of the person? That's the direct democracy. People casting a vote saying that guy has the merit to be that person. So when you have what you just mentioned is perfect, it needs an override switch at the bottom. You need something like the governor's convention in the Constitution, something but even better, something where town halls can all get together, and if all the town halls, 80% of them all agree on that this guy's got to be overridden, then he is overwritten. So it's like a circle. There isn't a pyramid. It's more like a circle of government. And on the top of this circle, because it's still, on a paper, there's a top and a bottom, is what you're talking about. And at the bottom, where the town halls are, where it eventually connects, they have the ability to override the very top. This will address the issue of power corrupting and absolute power corrupting absolutely, because there is no absolute power.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one person couldn't actually encapsulate absolute power because they're polymaths, and even those polymaths have a specialty. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, you would have these sort of almost righteous god kings, in a way, like they would wear white robes, or God knows what they would do, but just generally speaking, they would be these really selfless individuals that really understand their purpose well because of the knowledge that they carry and how it's going to affect mankind.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that.
It
But
sounds
who
cult-like
decides who gets the
now.
right robe? Is what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
it sounds cult-like now. It does. It sounds cult-like now. Well, that's the thing. So, like, education, right? I think that education reform is going to involve going back to basics, giving everybody in the country an equal opportunity to survival, which means real freedom. That means they can choose to live away from a city and live in the country, get a cabin in some land somewhere. Nobody's going to stop them, at that point. start their own family, whatever they want to do, right? We're just going to equip them with the basic life skills they need. So it'll be like 4-H camp from K through 6. And they're all going to be allowed to intermingle and talk with each other and socialize, right? Learn about all different cultures. Borders will be open. So think about Pokemon, right? You can let your 10-year-old leave the world, leave home and travel the world, and it's perfectly safe for them. You don't need to track them or monitor them. They're going to be able to travel. Nobody's going to hurt them. They're not going to have to worry about pedophiles or anything like that. Can you imagine a world like that? It's hard. It is. It's really difficult to imagine. Like, oh, that's not possible, but absolutely it is. That's all I'm proposing. So we create a
Oh,
world that's
I
safe for our
agree,
children to
but
create our
just like
future,
in
because that's
that
what they
world you're
are.
talking about, there's
They're just
Section
gifts.
41, and there's all kinds of
Those
crazy shit
children
that
will know who they are eventually. The Teslas, the Diracs, they knew at a young age. What was his name? Isaac Newton. He created calculus while he was young. He locked himself away. He was celibate. They know who
Yes,
they are.
exactly.
Yeah.
We
And
need
so
more people like
mankind's going
that
to
to
know
be
who they
able to
are as
come
long
to
as
fruition.
we create an environment that's conducive for them to be able to seize those resources.
But you're missing what I'm meaning of. Okay, so it's human
No
nature.
one is
You
choosing
cannot, unless
them.
you rewrite the human code. There's always going to be on the remainder of the equation people who want more than others, who think that the grass is
Yeah,
always greener
listen,
on the
you're
other
absolutely right
side.
about that. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to think that they're smarter than everybody else. They're going to move to the Big Rock Candy Mountain, and they're going to fuck themselves into extinction.
But they
They will
didn't.
go
The Jewish people
into
did
the
not do
annals of
that. They
history.
managed
They
to
will go into the
overtake the
annals of
smart people.
history. Okay. Yeah, they will go into the annals of history as people that were affected by Darwinism.
Well,
And then the smart people will still be alive, and we'll be producing for mankind. I mean, it's all about bad decisions. It's all about personal responsibility. Some people will accept it, and some people will be like, I just want to party and be in happy go fun land. And nobody else is going to support that. If I'm working hard
I
and I'm
understand what you're
producing, why would
saying.
I allow myself to be used by people that just want to party all the time?
Why is it
I mean,
happening
that's
right
cool
now?
for
Because
them.
that's what's happening
They have the
right
right to
now.
do that. They just
So
don't
the
have the right
same
to drain my
reason.
resources. Yeah.
I agree, but why is it happening right now? Because it is happening right now. The same
Well,
reason
because
why it
the
would
real
happen in the future.
disclosure, the real disclosure has to deal with something called usury. And when people wake up and realize, wait a minute, I've been used,
Interest. Yeah,
that they get
I
to
know they
control
took that
my
word out of the
value and I don't
Bible.
get to
Hey,
control my own destiny, I'm not okay with that. That's not freedom. Once that's
no,
exposed, the
exactly.
cat's out of the bag, man. Yeah.
But
That's the
it's
real
not, because
disclosure.
that's the whole point of it. They're so cunning. They've always adapted. So they've been at this for quite some time. These
Yep.
cunning people. They're
And we're
not
going
the
to get them.
smartest group of individuals. Pardon?
Well, they are smart. They're in power right now. It's best not to underestimate them.
Yeah. But
They kill people that try to tattle on Hillary.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So how are you going to overcome this hump of that and keep them out too? Because they've done it. They were not in power. This didn't just magically happen. They had a
Trust.
plot.
Yeah. Trust.
They
Like I explained, the
yeah, they
trust system.
stayed the course.
Yeah. They
Yeah, I know
can't get
that's
into the trust system.
that's what I'm talking about. That's an easy thing to corrupt. The trust system is very easy for a cunning Jewish person to take over.
Listen. You're not hearing me. Okay. You're not hearing me. You don't understand how the trust system works.
You trust
It's
people.
easy to be critical of a system you have no clue about. And that's the way it's going to stay.
What?
Yeah.
Pardon?
The trust system the source is going to be closed.
The what? This.
Yep.
I missed that. Sorry.
The source will be open upon my death or when I leave the planet. It will be available for the public.
I know, but that doesn't address what we were just talking about.
Trust. It's based on trust. All they have to do is be able
Exactly.
to trust.
Easily manipulated. Trust is easily manipulated and has been already. And that's how they
But
are
not
where they
not
are.
but I'm trying to describe to you, okay, I figured out a way to keep people from manipulating it. It's really that simple.
How? How?
Trust. Trust. Look up the word. Look at
You
what it
just didn't hear me
means.
a second ago. Literally on the dollar, it says, "In God we trust," and it's fucking Jewish people.
So trust system does not work.
Trust system does work. It's working right now.
No, it's not. That's my whole point. It's not
Absolutely.
working right, Ralph.
We
There's
can
lots of Jewish people
agree
in control of people
on
manipulating and doing
far
whatever they want.
more. Well, listen, once we remove them from the equation, because the trust system won't allow the Jews to participate.
How? You haven't
It won't be
explained it.
able
You
to.
haven't mechanically
Because no one trusts
explained
them.
how that's going to happen.
Because no one trusts the Jews. No one will trust
I know,
them.
so they'll change their name again.
No,
Be
listen.
whoever else next
Yeah,
year.
but listen, they're going to be cut out, completely cut out of everything.
Yeah,
There will
that's
be
not.
nothing for them.
So you're going to write a law that this is anti-Semitic, which sounds fine. And
It's not a
everything's
law,
great.
it's a program.
They're just chameleons.
It's
All
not a
countries
law,
just
it's a
change to a
program.
different demographic.
Listen, they're
What?
not going to
What?
be able to convince everybody to leave a trust system that works without them to a system
I don't think
that
you
only works
understand.
for them and only works in their favor.
I don't
It's not
think.
going to happen. Nobody will go
I
back
don't
to
think you
usury
understand.
once they realize there's a usury-free system. Once the grass is greener is shown to the public, they're going to move.
Yeah, I don't think you're
So
understanding
about
what I mean,
20%
though.
of the population, that's Luciferians and everybody who supports them and serves them, right? Or is blackmailed by them,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. They will all
Yeah.
be excluded from this system because everybody's going to know who they are.
How? How are you going to do that?
All right.
And more
Let me
importantly,
ask you something. Can you trust your mother?
no.
You can
That's a bad example.
with
Not
certain
my
things.
mother.
Yeah,
A
with
normal,
certain things.
no, to be a worthless person, yeah, I can trust her to do that. Yeah.
See, but you know that your mother isn't a pedophile. You know that she is an elite, and you know she's not a Luciferian.
Well, no, I don't know those things.
Okay, well,
My
whoever.
mother's a bad
Pick one,
example.
right?
A normal person's
Yeah.
mother, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, but not
Yep.
my life is very unique.
So that's where the chain starts. It starts with people that are not connected with those organizations, not connected with secret societies. And so I shake a hand with somebody else. Hey, would you like to join the trust system? And they're like, yeah, I would like to join the trust system. You know, there are all these benefits to the trust system. Great. And they're going to
And
join.
that's
And
how
then we
they
take a picture
inbred
together.
to begin with. It was the same premise in
They can't
Britain.
get in
The same thing when
because
they
it's
overthrew
somebody
the
that I
royals.
trust. Not the
Yeah,
royals.
I
The
know.
royals can't get in either. Nobody trusts the royals.
When they overthrew
The
the
royals are part of
royals,
the pedophile
when
problem.
they overthrew the royals in Great
Hollywood will be
Britain
out.
and installed.
The elite will
Pardon?
be out. Millionaires
Okay,
will
so
be
when they
out.
overthrew
Billionaires
the
will be
royals.
out. Sex party people will be
Okay,
out. A
okay.
lot of
So when
old
they
people will be
overthrew
out.
the royals in England, and installed democracy, everyone was using the trust system, and they circumvented it like nothing else. Simply,
They can't circumvent
all they
this
did was.
because they don't have my source
Pardon?
code. They can't circumvent
What
this.
source?
They don't have my source code.
Yeah, so it's some sort of magic source code is going to stop them.
Yes.
So
They
it's just
already
faith again.
solved prime number theory. Okay. So they can crack RSA. They can use your own password against you. The technology is already available. It's been available for a while. It's not really well known, but nobody's talking about it. RSA is based on prime number theory, which I understand a great deal about. But there's an answer that everybody needs, and the answer is a system that is not written by a person, that is not known by a person. And so I am creating a system that will do that.
Okay, so
But my source code has to be closed.
if
It
if
has to
I
be
was a
closed for a
Jewish
long
evil
time.
piece of shit person, I would look at you and go, "Well, you're the have to do everything we can to get that from him, including and not limited to years of torture, doing whatever you can conceive to get it from you."
Great, and they will try, and they will fail.
They haven't before.
I'm a United
Usually
States Marine.
torture
I
and
have a contingency
etc.
plan.
Pardon?
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm up against, and I'm going to stop
Yeah,
them.
I know, but you're just saying it with faith based. Conspiracy you just spoke about. You see the dilemmas in this holes in this thing here.
No, I see no holes or dilemmas.
I just explained it to you. What about the transparency you just spoke about as a requirement?
That's the whole idea. That's part of the authentication, part of the trust system that
But you're
actually
not being
works.
transparent. You just are saying have faith in me. That's not transparency.
Only one person.
Yeah, even
You're
worse.
talking about someone who's not a government agent. I joined the United States Marine Corps to serve my country, right? I swore an oath to protect the Constitution. That's freedom and liberty. I'm a regular country guy, just a regular old guy. I don't work
I
for
know,
anybody. I'm
I'm
not a
not
double
saying I
agent.
wouldn't have faith in you. I'm
Yeah,
saying that it is easily to hijack it, is what I'm getting at
but
still.
they would have to
Like
hijack
that
me,
has been done.
and everybody on the
Yes,
planet is going to know
exactly.
who I am. Yeah, and if anything were to
And they
happen
will
to
do
me,
that. They will
okay,
hijack you.
yeah,
They
the
will do whatever.
whole
Your family,
world.
they'll use it
It'd be
against
like
you. They'll use
Epstein.
everything they can.
It'd be like Epstein, except on steroids. And listen, I have a contingency plan. I have a dead man trigger. If anything happens to me, and it won't, because they don't want that to happen, because then they would make me a martyr, which they can't afford to do.
They can.
I've thought this out.
This is what I'm getting at. They can and will. And if that is the case, they will remove you and then start their own thing again.
Listen,
If
hubris.
everything's reliant on one head, this is why Anonymous exists. If it's all reliant on one head, you cut the head off the snake, game over. We won. They'll go straight for that
That's
head.
exactly
take
what
it
I'm
right
aiming
off,
to
and they're
do.
back to where they were.
Now you know my plan. Now you know what I'm up to. If they sack me, you win. If I survive,
I don't want that. Well, I'm
you
not winning.
win.
I'm trying to
Either way, they die.
stop that.
We end them, and we get real freedom for our children. Our children have a real chance at a future. Either way.
Yeah, well, do you know what they'll do? They'll sack you, hands down. I'm trying to say we don't want
Either
that.
way, they lose.
No, they sure we lose out. Yeah, I agree with you. The world will be poor, but they'll be fucking smiling all the same. Not me. I'll be upset that it happened.
I mean, there probably will be a lot of upset people, which is the reason why the globe will have a reform. And they will shut them down. They will literally shut them down overnight. The whole world will unite. Regardless of what happens. They can't afford to sack me. They have to watch for a little while as all their power drains away from them. And I will take it from
They
them.
most certainly can,
And I will give it
especially
back
in
to the
the
people to
beginning
whom it
stages,
belongs.
before any of that is initiated.
They have hubris. That's their greatest weakness. They won't see it coming. They have no clue. They don't know what I'm doing.
That's exactly their only strength, is their threat, is their cunningness. That's the only thing they got, really. So that's why I do not believe in the pyramid. It will not work. It will if you install another pyramid, they'll take it over.
Oh, no,
again.
this isn't a pyramid. This is not a pyramid. This is an escape system.
You just mentioned someone on the top is in charge of it. That's a pyramid.
No. No, the only thing is the closed source itself. The closed source is at the very top.
I
But
know
the
that's
closed
so
source
we've already figured it out that to drum it all down, the power would be the person who has the ability to control the unlimited energy. So
Yeah,
that
but
would be saying
I would be
so
transparent,
you
wouldn't
would
I?
be at
In
the
order to
top of
give
the
it to
pyramid.
mankind, I have to travel everywhere. I have to give up my transparency. I have to give up the information. I have to teach. I have to talk to scientists. That's my time. I'm sacrificing my time. I can't get that back. I have a child. I'm
I'm not
sacrificing that for the
saying that.
world.
I'm saying that this
Okay.
makes it a
All right.
pyramid, is what I'm saying.
There's no pyramid.
You just said it is.
I'm giving
If
up
it's
something
somebody
of
on the
equal
top,
value.
that's a pyramid. All power flows down from
Is
there.
my time worth fusion for mankind? If it's
You're
not, I
missing the
walk away
point. I'm
today.
not saying it is
I
or
end this
isn't. I'm saying it's a
conversation. I
pyramid
end
still.
my campaign, right? I walk away.
Yeah,
You
I
can
know
decide that
so
right
it's
now.
still a
I'll
pyramid.
give you the power to do that.
What?
Say walk away. Just say walk away. I will walk away. I'll end this conversation, leave this group, and you'll never see or hear from me again.
I'm not saying that. I'm having a conversation with you. I'm explaining to you that this is still a pyramid-based system.
It's not a pyramid-based system. It's an
You
escape
just
vector.
said it was.
Nope, it's an escape vector.
Okay, you can. In other words, then it's a pyramid-based system. So you can use all kinds of words to describe the same object or same thing.
It is not a pyramid-based system. There's no pyramid.
It is.
It is equal access to all resources to everyone.
Flows from one source down.
There is no one source.
Pardon?
So you're telling me the kilogram is a pyramid scheme?
The kilogram? Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah.
Not a scheme, a pyramid. I didn't add scheme to it, but yeah, it's a pyramid. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
They're the ones who are in charge.
And I'm not talking about a pyramid. I'm talking about an escape vector. We're talking about two completely different things.
About a pyramid.
You're making an assumption based off of your limited information and understanding.
You can't get around it or avoid it.
And you're also misunderstanding me.
How?
You say it is a pyramid. I say it is not a pyramid. When I say it is not a pyramid, I designed the system. I would know if it was a pyramid.
Yeah, irrelevant.
I know what a pyramid is. I can't design a multidimensional geometric input system if I don't know what a fucking pyramid is, genius.
Irrelevant. Okay, let's call it not a pyramid then. Let's call it top-down power source. Does that sound better for you?
No, distributed.
Okay, top-down distributed. Does that sound better for you?
Nope, distributed.
Top-down distributed. It is then. Because you're
No.
still at the top. You're missing the whole point of the top.
Distributed.
You're missing the whole point of what I'm talking about. Sure, who decides what's distributed it?
I don't.
Exactly.
You do. You get an input.
Pardon?
People are going to vote. They're going to decide. This allows
There you
them
go.
the ability to distribute trust as a public utility, just like money.
Exactly.
Energy,
You said it right
if you
there,
will.
bro.
Resources.
You said it right there. That's
It's a
all I needed to
resource-based
hear.
economy.
That's all I needed to hear there. You said it right there. People are going to
People
vote.
are not things. We will not value people as things. The system will never value people as things. The people cannot allow to value themselves as objects, possessions, or services. A person is not a service.
I know
A
that.
person is a
See things
person.
through military terminology, and that's different. That's when I use that
I'm using
terminology
legal
like that.
terminology. I'm using terminology of plain English.
I know I'm not. When I used it earlier, I was using it in the military sense. I tend to do that often by mistake. I don't look at people as things, but a
So
general most
it sounds
certainly,
really
unfortunately, has
socialistic.
to.
It sounds really communistic, you know. But if you think about it, right, the military, you know, we have general trust in the military. I don't have to worry about my buddies stealing my stuff. Why? Because we all have the same shit. We all get paid the same, you know, and we're not going to judge each other on our decisions. If my buddy wants to go out and blow his whole paycheck on fucking drinking with whores on Wednesday and he's broke by Friday, that's his decision, and he gets to be broke because the military gives you everything that you need. Hitler did something very similar in World War II. He was, you know, he had terrible ideas. He did terrible things, but some of his stuff actually worked.
That's the monetary
Giving
system
people
I'm pretty
access to
much talking about.
resources, giving people access to
Yeah.
resources, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
and
nothing
how he
really
printed
wrong
all
with
his
giving
money
people
was
access to
exactly how I
resources.
mentioned it. He backed it all on everything that he built. He said, well, okay, we're going to print off our money is worth this much because we're German and we have car factories and we have roads and we have all of this stuff. So our money is worth
I
something.
mean, but people want to buy German stuff. Why? Because it's well made. Because they've got the best schools. Because they've
Exactly.
got the
And
best
that's
engineers.
where the
Okay.
value is. And the same thing for the currency. We do the same approach.
Now, what do you think is going to happen in third world countries? There will be industrial revolutions where there haven't been industrial revolutions. There will be commercial and socialistic, okay, sociological revolutions, anthropological
Well, here at
revolutions
home,
that
that
will
will
happen.
go and fix.
And what is that going to do? That is going to propel mankind forward because everybody's going to benefit from what these organizations create in terms of their output, their pulses outward,
Yeah, I understand them.
their output,
Right. That's the
because they
idea.
have
That's the
resources,
point.
people, right? Yeah, that are invaluable to their nation. Some kid in fucking Ghana is going to figure out the genetics behind how fucking cancer promulgates and be able to
Exactly.
fucking cure it
That's
with a
exactly
single
why
fucking
I want
vaccine.
things so bad under the current system because of all that stuff. What you just said right there. Do you know how much of what we've already missed because of this current system? Like, you know what I mean?
Which is why I'm setting the stage to allow us for an intergalactic society, which bases everything
I
on
concur
risk.
with.
There's no more risk for stuff on planet.
I
Everything
concur with
on
that.
planet can be procured and recycled because of fusion. There's no limit to that. But we can't stay on the planet. We have to leave. Period. End of story.
Well, I don't
So
know
we need to
about
find a way
leaving,
to
but
branch out, terraform other locations. And that's where the technology is going to evolve. That's why the risk is going to go down and what mankind is going to use as a currency in the future. How
you
much
ever
risk
see
is it
the
for
colonies
mankind, for
fucking.
a group of people to elect to go out or retrieve or use resources to assist the rest of mankind, or to branch out on their own like pilgrims and to start their own thing? We'll give you a
Yeah.
dowry. You guys get to
And
start
then
your
we're
own
back
thing,
to
right? We'll
war.
give you help. Yeah.
Colony
Yep.
wars.
Well, now we're at Gundam. Now we're at Mobile Suit Gundam
Yes.
universe.
I'm all for
That
it. No,
sounds funny.
I'm all for people
It
having
sounds
their
funny.
own right
It
to.
really does, you know? Yeah.
What?
So, like, what I want to establish in the next 4 years, and I want to start talking about intergalactic society so we can iron out these problems before they occur. I don't have all the answers. I never will propose to, but somebody might.
No, no one entity will or a person will have all the answers,
There you go. And that's what will
and
balance
that's
power in the
why.
future. That's what I aim to achieve.
Yeah,
That's what I aim to give mankind,
exactly.
to give our kids a real chance.
That's what I'm
So if
talking
things
about,
go
and
well in
that's
30
why I'm
years,
on
if
board
things go
here.
well in 30 years, all the industries and stuff that I basically help mankind to create will pay out in compound interest. They'll start paying out in compound interest. And all those accounts will basically go to children that want to go to, Intergalactic Field Society or Zero Gravity Academy to leave.
I got it right
It'll
out.
pay for
You
everything.
just
They don't have to
mentioned the
pay for anything. It's
monetary
like getting
system
free
to
college.
use, and that's the way to go.
Yeah. And so it'll pay for their
I mean, it
starship.
won't.
It'll pay for their uniforms. It'll pay for everything they need for the rest of their life. It'll be like
Well, look at
accounting.
what it really is. So we'll be back to that again. All money really
It's
is
all
a
legacy.
representation of time, of people's time to use, right? That's all it is, and to be used for further on, so they're not greedy. That money
Yeah,
is
but
supposed to
you
be a
can't
policing
quantify
system.
that universally, right? That has to work both democratically and republically because use of value is different. Country folk aren't very useful in the city, and city folk aren't very useful in the country, right? So the use of value
Regardless,
is going to be
it's
different
hours or
based on where
hours.
they are and their demographic and so on, right? So like
Yes,
people that are going to be going to space, the only people that need to be going to space are, people that bring like culture and food, terraformers, farmers. You don't need people that used to be CEO executives of huge companies. Why would they need to go to space? What do they really provide as a service to the
obviously, they're
community?
the
They
most
don't.
useless of people. And when it comes to like
They're great
building with their
managers.
hands, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
correct. And they retired. They've been traveling around the world enjoying their life because they decided to be a CEO. They managed
Yeah.
resources for a few years. They contributed to the public as a public utility, and then they retired. And they get to live out the rest of their life because they found and trained their next replacement, which exceeded their expectations and so on and
Oh,
so
what are
forth.
they called? Forget what they're called in a pack, but there is like
Hegemony.
that. And the Lion Pride. So when Alpha is done, like, but he's old and everything,
Correct.
and the new
Correct.
Alpha,
Yeah.
instead of killing him, the old, I forget what it's called. Go and
Well, they're a
retire, and
consultant.
he still makes.
Correct.
Pardon?
They're a
Yeah.
consultant. They have in their time there, they've made lots of powerful connections. They've made great friends,
I know. I'm just trying to think
and
of the name. It's like there's Alpha,
yeah, they
Beta,
made things
Delta,
work
and
really
shit.
well.
I forget what
Yeah,
they're called. They're like a
it's like
unique
look,
one
look,
on their
son.
own.
Well, like Scar. Look, son.
Like
This is how
Scar,
you pound.
exactly, but
Yeah,
nicer.
yeah.
Yeah. And I forget. No, but there's a real name for it, like the alpha, beta, da 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 da. I
Well,
forget what
this
they
is
are,
this is
but
the part of
they're
checks and balances. So if you train your replacement, kind of like the Sith, right? One to rule. These kind of people need to be a consultant to the other person, like an advisor, to make sure, like oversight, because they're going to have still a high level of transparency. They don't want to throw that away after they lose their CEO executive spot. That gives them a lot of perks. There's huge perks that come with that, right? With that level of trust. So they don't want to give that up. So if they think this person is going to sabotage or they're going to go Manchurian candidate or do something silly, they're going to report them. They're going to squeal.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's like a checks and balances. It all works out. But again, I'm not here to set
yeah.
policies. I'm
You
here to
need
provide
exactly. There needs to be a
solutions.
lot more checks and
Yeah.
balances, and it ends up looking like a circle on paper. Really
Yeah, it really does
better
the
than the
Ouroboros. It has to eat its own tail. It has to trim itself and make
yeah.
itself a little bit more efficient every revolution. Yep.
Exactly. Okay, that's awesome. That's just what I wanted to make sure. Because,
And
that's
that's what
paramount,
AI will
or else
become.
we'll revert right back to where we'll
AI
revert
is
to
going to do the
fucking
same
Star
thing.
Wars Empire and go from Federation to Empire right quick without that circle. Okay, thank you. I gotta get going. I've already that's I'll talk with you a lot more in the future.
Yeah, man,
Bye
absolutely.
now.
And feel free to look me up and contact me. And, I'd love to get on some broadcasts and talk to some people, because I just want to give some people good news, even if I don't succeed, because I don't really care about that. Somebody's going to come behind me with really great ideas. You know what I mean?
Very masculine, and I mostly am, but I'm like the old days would call it hermaphrodite, but they're called intersex now. Like I have both the chromosomes, but I don't really care. I don't get
One
too.
of my best friends was a triple X.
So yeah, I don't care about the. I don't get hung up, but just in case you see me being feminine or something, don't think anything bad about it. I hope as well. Okay,
I don't make
bye.
judgments.
Okay, man.
Nice to
Bye.
meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Oh yes, here I am. Is that too loud? Come see, come ça. My voice sucks. I like typing. I'm not a star. I got 4 microphones. I don't know shit about my settings. You might have heavy feedback.
Anyone have some questions?
No, I was listening. I like listening. I'm needed to.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'm needed to make the voice chat work. I found out. But I like listening. You can ask me to open the voice chat anytime. I'm better at typing.
My arthritis makes it hard for me to type.
Yes, I understood. That's why I said we got voice chat, so it's easy. I can talk to you a bit. I think V likes listening to that too. My voice isn't on the internet often. I need a coffee. But V read a book in old English. I got a big respect for V. He read a book about the bloodless revolution. Bloodless can't be done anymore. We tried peaceful for many years, since Martin Luther King. Black and white tried for peaceful ways to change things. It didn't work. And now, 50 years later, people are rioting in the streets and things are happening and things are becoming chaos. And that can't be stopped. And we need people like you with sound plans, or people like V that know a little about history and how things can be done. And we need to talk to another and listen to another. I talk a lot, so it's good for me to listen always. And sometimes discussions can be a little hard to follow, but it's good to do the discussion and even when you disagree, to talk. And but I got lost halfway. But you're working on good plans and it will work. And we will do this together. We are not alone. We are all one.
Amen.
You got any questions, V? You got any questions about the trust system? Anything to say about the hierarchy, the natural hierarchy in a family? A father has kids, a father has a wife and kids. That's a pyramid structure, right? it isn't all bad. It's just the bad people that we need to kick out. Being manipulated yourself. We are all manipulated. But I like when Tyler manipulates me. Because Tyler is in me. And it's not the system manipulating me or educating me. We all are biased. We all got some bias. We all got our own roots, our own teachers, and that makes you look at the world through your own looking glass, you got your own glasses on. We are all biased. But as long as I'm not manipulated in sneaky ways or pushed in ways, I hate pushers. I don't want to be pushed in ways I don't want to go. And that's for all people.
Same. Yeah, I understand this principle. That's the real problem with the epistemological rupture that I propose, and what no other candidate or anybody is talking about is consent. I mean, obviously, I understand that I can't save everyone, and I understand that I also can't make everyone happy. But as long as I follow two simple guidelines, I think we can do okay. One, we can't force people to do something that they don't want to do. And two, you can't really keep people from doing something that they really want to do it. But all you can do is you create a valve, because mankind without a valve, they'll just turn into an addict overnight. They'll get whatever it is that they're after. So you create a valve to those resources that is complete transparency, and that valve ensures that people that have access to those resources can't just use them unscrupulously for their own devices, out to become a tyrant, etc.
Right. And then my two spare points in that, I often say few will defend corruption and child abuse.
Oh yeah,
Enslavement.
almost no one will. Yeah, absolutely. That's the reason why I know I'm going to win.
That's my one-liner, and I mean enslavement in any way, and that's what V means: being manipulated. Manipulating people is enslaving them. We don't want that. We had enough of it, and the system will change. And with transparency, with a modern technique, transparency can be done. And then the gathering of the people, local, in our own village, our own province, country, or the whole world. There can be a gathering of all the people in the entire world. You can still have your own country, your own traditions, but when you eat kids, don't let me find you. When
Yeah,
you have children, don't let me find you. When you're corrupt, I will take you get the guillotine because you steal of all people.
correct. Yeah, you rob the entire planet of potential. And like the whole idea of abortion, as a public idea, I think is going to go away generally quickly, all on its own, spontaneously. Because why would you want to encourage us to destroy our own progeny? I mean, I don't think people understand how precious that is.
Yes, life is very precious and people are misled to approve of abortion. Most people don't like killing, but the unborn life is made into a thing that you can get rid of. But it is life from the moment the egg and the semen find each other and the cell splits in two cells. It's life. It's the beginning of life. and you can take a pill or cut it out, but you kill a living thing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
so
not,
the idea behind public policy dealing with this would be, of course, non-lethal. So in a system that has transparency, these people are known. There's going to be nowhere on earth that they can go, that they will be able to find solace. But they'll live like the poor do now, constantly viewing the very world that they try to destroy move away from their plans. I think that is a punishment far worse than death and far more appropriate for them to be completely isolated from the world and unable to enact any kind of control or influence over it. Go
yes,
ahead and ask.
yes, people, yeah, no,
And then, of
because
course, once alternatives are sought out, for behaviors, it won't be really hard for people to be like, there's an alternative for this behavior. Why would I choose? It's just an incentive. Like right now, the only reason why there are people who are in prison is because they find everything else in society so detestable because of the way the rules are structured. They can't have any fun. That's not fun for them. So, like, what if you had a system that had outlets for these people so that they could be productive members of society and not be judged for their outlets? They're not harming anybody, they're not hurting anybody, right? As long as they're doing it in private and they're not enacting that on another human being and taking their rights and freedoms from them, there's nothing wrong with using VR. There's nothing wrong with some of these things. So there are ways to sort of deal with that. Once again, I'm not here to set policy, just provide like possible solutions. Believe it or not, like narcissists can be extremely useful. They make really great CEOs. They know how to use people. They know what people's talents are. It's like they have an intuition for it, right? You put them in the right position with the right kind of transparency, and they can't screw up. They can't afford to screw up because then everybody will find out who they really are, and they'll never allow that to happen.
yes,
So you use their stress against them. I mean, it sounds really terrible, but they're perfect for the position, and they've done it to themselves by making their own decisions over life.
yes. Look, most people in prisons are in prisons because they don't have trust in the system,
Yeah,
and they don't want to cooperate. They say, I have, something happened in my life, in my youth. I stole cigarettes and things too, and I analyzed it, and it was because uh, I couldn't trust the people that had authority anymore. And then, as a young adult, you act in rage and you do things to provoke a reaction. And most people in prison, it starts that way. Something happens in life. But when there's a system that is trustable, very few people will end in jail. They won't have to steal or do
correct.
evil things.
Because there won't be an incentive to do that. There's no reason for them to do that. They can trust the system. Exactly. It gives them
Exactly.
equal access to resources. Why would you need to steal your neighbor's TV if you can get one that's better?
Yes,
You can get your own.
yes. When, when the cause of jealousy is gone, who wants to steal? Or who
Correct.
wants to kill his
Which is
neighbor
why I
for
propose an end to usury.
who wants to kill his neighbor for his car or his phone if he can get the same? Just ask for it. You want a car? Go get one. I don't want a car. I like public transportation. I got a fine phone. I got a mobile phone.
Well, kind of think about it like this. Possession will look very, very different in the future. For example, we've all got our own cars now. Like I've got my own car, my friends got their own car. So if you can imagine an Airbnb type app, except for cars,
Yeah,
or like a bike share or ride share. So
yes,
it's kind of like how Redbox works now. If you screw up the disc, you got to pay for it. The other person's going to tattle on you.
yeah,
So you would do like a 360 video with the vehicle, right? The AI is going to look for scratches, dings, dents, damage, etc., and it's going to assess how well you took care of it and everything. It's automatic. And then
yeah,
you just hop in the car, You don't pay for it, right? It comes out of this account that's for you, and that's your cost of living. And so, you need a car. It's almost like it's going to look like Grand Theft Auto to anybody else. It'll appear very strange to people from this century now, in about 10 years, because you'll just be able to use your phone or your app, walk up to a vehicle, the vehicle unlocks for you, you hop in, and it self drives you to whatever destination, right? And then somebody else is going to end up using that car, right? Because they needed it that place at that time. See, everything's going to end up everywhere. It's going to seem really strange at first.
At first, but when people see that it saves half of the Earth's resources to make cars, more than half of the cars on the street are standing still. You will save so much of the resources when people see that
Correct.
everyone
Yeah.
goes.
Well, you know, that's the thing, is because it's easier to actually reuse the resources we've already created, and then of course refine that. So like some vehicles have a high yearly cost of maintenance, luxury, for example, right? Because not all cars are utilitarian. They're actually, a lot of them are luxury based, and that's going to go with a 3,000% markup on taxes, right? So basically, the taxes on the luxuries pay for the public utility that allows shops to stay open, mechanics to do their job, repair cars, etc. So the cost of, like the cars like the Plymouth Voyager that was plagued with engine and transmission problems, those cars are going to get crushed, recycled, and turned into other stuff. But cars like the Honda CRX, they get really good fuel economy, and they're really reliable, and the replacement parts for them last a really long time, and they have less than $700 of yearly maintenance that's required, right? Average from year to year. They're extremely safe. You can install, a self-driving automated system in them, and just like you would install a Viper alarm, right? And then the public utility company actually furnishes the organization that plans and provides engineers that make this stuff and installs it in the cars, etc. And all that's a public service. So now everybody has access to vehicles all over the world, right? You can even put a live camera in there, and then people can be entertained just by tuning in to some guy that's in a Land Rover that's got 750,000 miles on it and is making a trip across the frozen tundra in the Arctic, in the Arctic Circle. Somehow they took it from the tip of South America at the very bottom towards the Antarctic Circle, and they drove it all the way up north and made it to the Arctic Circle. And they're doing something really, really cool with it. And I say kudos to stuff like that. Give people hope. Show them that there's neat stuff that you can do here on Earth. Absolutely, why not? There are things that even I can't predict. You see what I mean?
You can predict way more than me.
Nice.
This is more of my voice has ever been on the internet before. Yeah, yeah. I need a coffee. You can listen to my kitchen sounds for a bit. When I don't want you in, I can turn my microphone down. This is maybe the first time I see the voice chat open here. But we got a voice chat for all people. Okay, then I'm going to. Haha. Later's here. Thank you. And Serena, thank you too.